We're here today with Dr. Michael Dourson and Dr. Bernard Gadagbui from Toxicology Excellence for Risk Assessment, and we're here to talk about their Dose Response Assessment Bootcamp course. Gentlemen, would you tell me a little bit about yourselves?
Yes, I will go first. My name is Dr. Bernard Gadagbui. I'm a senior toxicologist at TERA. I joined TERA in February 2004. I am certified as a toxicologist by the American Board of Toxicology. I'm also listed in the United Kingdom Register of Toxicologists, which is a special interest group of the Royal Society of Biologists. I also direct TERA's Hazard Characterization and Dose Response Assessment Bootcamp. I'm one of the main instructors of the bootcamp, and what I also love to do is to export human health risk assessments to developing countries.
I'm Michael Leonard Dourson. I'm also a board-certified toxicologist at TERA, Toxicology Excellence for Risk Assessment. TERA, as it's known, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We do 2/3 of our work generally for government, 1/3 for industry. We build collaborations among the parties. Prior to working for TERA, or starting with TERA in 1995, I worked for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency starting in 1980. Like Bernard, I very much enjoy doing risk assessment training. We're glad you're listening.
Dr. Dourson, dose response assessment. A lot of us may be wondering, what at all is that? If you can take a few minutes to explain to our audience what dose response assessment is, that would be great.
All right, Bernard, good question. But before we get into dose response assessment, we need to back up a little bit and talk about, well, what is toxicology? So toxicology is very complex, like many things, but you can boil it down to maybe 3 ideas. The first idea is we're exposed to tens of thousands of chemicals every day. Coffee has 1,500 chemicals, potatoes have almost just as many. There's a lot of chemicals we're exposed to, natural, synthetic. We can't avoid the exposures. Second idea, all these chemicals are toxic at some level. The dose makes the poison. Paracelsus said this a few hundred years back. So the dose makes the poison, all chemicals are toxic. If you drink too much water, for example, you can hurt yourself pretty badly. In fact, some people have killed themselves drinking too much water. So all chemicals are toxic at some point. The third idea is really where we get into dose response assessment. There is a level, a safe level, or a virtually safe level for all these chemicals. And so the idea of dose response is to study the hazard, study how hazard changes as you give more and more dose, and either project the safe dose or the virtual safe dose, or maybe what the risk might be above those safe doses. That's dose response assessment.
I believe that anybody who doesn't understand this concept can gain a whole lot from this dose response assessment bootcamp.
I would agree.
So why should someone choose TERA's course over similar courses offered by others?
Oh, that's a great question. And we can easily answer that question for the audience. This is the only training that promises to take any scientist from 0% confidence in human health risk assessment to 95% confidence in just 5 days, and we deliver on our promise. The only thing we expect the participant to do is to have some basic understanding of toxicology and to be interested in developing current human health risk assessment skills. This 5-day intensive hands-on training, you will learn how to effectively characterize any hazard or hazard associated with exposure to environmental chemicals, including pesticides, pharmaceuticals, consumer products, or any chemical of interest. You will learn how to use current methods in conducting acceptable dose response assessments. Upon completing this training, you acquire the necessary skills to use current tools to identify, evaluate, and address potential health risks that are associated with exposure to any chemical. you'll be able to conduct state-of-the-art risk assessment or human health risk assessment for environmental or industrial chemicals, pharmaceuticals, consumer products, medical devices, or any other chemical, as I said earlier. You derive and evaluate risk values and supported documentation for both non-cancer and cancer risk assessments. You also experience how peer review works and what is expected of each reviewer. The company you work for will also benefit because by completing this course, you will become more effective and productive and will meet the company's needs. The course is taught by well-recognized experts. There is also in-class exercises and homework that illustrate all the concepts we discuss in the class. So I can go on, but this is just a few benefits we will derive from attending our training.
Can you give us a brief overview of the topics covered?
Yes. Within this 1 week, we cover a lot of topics, you won't believe it. We discuss hazard identification and classification, and as Dr. Dourson explained earlier, you will learn about dose response assessment of chemicals that cause cancer or not cancer, and we cannot do this without understanding systematic review methodology and how weight of evidence is applied in human health risk assessment. You also learn about the frameworks that we use for evaluating mode of action and its human relevance. You will understand and apply toxicokinetic data in evaluating mode of action and developing risk values. You will learn about oral and inhalation dosimetry adjustment in risk assessment. We'll talk a great deal about principles of application of uncertainty factors and chemical-specific adjustment factors as they are applied in risk assessment to develop risk values. We spend a good deal of time on benchmark dose modeling and other dose response modeling methods. We will discuss physiologically based pharmacokinetic or PBK modeling, although this is not going to make you a PBK modeler, but you understand the principles. We touch briefly on exposure assessment and a whole lot on risk characterization. You will also learn the latest technologies, new approach methods or methodologies, NAMs, QSAR, read across, and how all these are used in risk assessment.
And we also, Bernard, we also have some games that we've now incorporated into the risk assessment training to help enhance some of the principles that we teach.
Thank you.
What industry software will be used to teach the course?
Yes, good question. We rely heavily on the US EPA benchmark dose software to conduct benchmark dose modeling, which is a state-of-the-art kind of a concept now or use. We also learn about Bayesian benchmark dose modeling, which will be taught by an expert who has developed this software himself.
Dr. Kanshao.
Dr. Kanshao. We also teach multiple path particle dosimetry, MPPD model, and we use this to predict the concentration of inhaled particles that are deposited in the lungs of humans and several other species. So you will learn a lot.
Will there be homework? And will the instructors be available for questions?
Well, yes, this is a boot camp after all, so there'll be plenty of homework. We keep you there all day long. And then, of course, in the evenings, since you are by yourself or maybe with a team, we give you homework. In fact, on the first day of the training, we divide the whole group into groups of 3 to 5. So participants, if they're in the same organization, they get split into different groups. And we give each group different homework assignments. Some of them get one chemical and oral exposure, another chemical might be inhalation exposure. So we break the class up into those four areas. We give you a database, but we let the homework team kind of struggle with their assignment. At the end of the week, we have each team present their findings, And we have a second team do an independent peer review. That's what Dr. Gadagbui referred to earlier about learning how peer review works. Well, the teams, they get an assignment to do an assessment, but also an assignment to do an individual peer review. And on, I think, starting on day 2, we start to have recaps every morning. So that's something that Bernard goes through quite extensively.
Yeah, the recap is about, it's a quiz. It could be up to 30, it could be up to 5, based on the concept that we learned the previous day.
Right.
And we do this until the end of the training.
Okay. Is the course endorsed?
Yes, the course is endorsed by the Society of Toxicology and the Society for Risk Analysis. However, before we do any training, we have to apply for their endorsement. So at any time that we are going to do the training, we apply for endorsement.
Do the attendees receive a certificate?
At the end of the week, the attendees get a certificate of completion. And that's something that we very much like working with individuals to make sure that that certificate is received and appreciated.
Where's the course held?
Well, the course is held twice in Cincinnati, once in the spring, normally May, once in the fall, September, October. Lots of people come from around the world for these courses, which is good. But in addition, we do courses off-site for industries, government agencies, or foreign countries. In fact, Bernard, you want to explain a few of the ones that we have done and maybe even recently done?
Yes, industries in North America or chemical companies in North America reach out to us to conduct this training for them. We have done such trainings in Canada, in Asia, for example, Indonesia, and twice in India. We've conducted the training in Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa, and also in Australia. Mm-hmm. And we still get requests from other people, and we are yet to honor them.
In fact, just last fall, we did 2 on-site trainings in India at an industry and a university. And before that, we did a training down in Texas government, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality.
Actually, this is we went to India twice.
Right.
And the first time also we trained people in the university, 2 universities in
right.
India, and then follow up 2 years later by this one that you just mentioned.
Right.
Are there specific industries that would benefit from this training?
Yes. We've been approached by agricultural, medical devices, pharmaceutical, and petrochemical companies to hold these assessments or trainings for them.
Is it possible to hold an abbreviated course?
Oh, absolutely. We've held abbreviated courses for different companies or governments depending on what their needs are. Often they can look at the whole course and look at the lectures that are in the course, and they can decide to take fewer lectures, and we've done that quite a bit.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time today. It's been a pleasure.